Welcome to the Focus 3 podcast. Wherever you are and however you're listening, we're really glad you have tuned in. I'm Tim Kight, and I'm here with my co-host, Urban Meyer. Coach, awesome to see you.
Yeah, great to see you again.
It's been a while, man.
Yeah, a lot going on.
A lot going on. You have a new gig. It was in the planning, but the weekends you're now. It's Fox Sports. It's college football. What's the show called again?
It's Big Noon Kickoff, and that's Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Brady Quinn, and Rob Stone, and really outstanding company and great team.
You guys are getting fantastic reviews. The people are watching. The comments about the show are off the chart. What's it like? You've made this switch from obviously people talk about Urban Meyer sideline, the coach now, Urban Meyer in the studio. What's it like? What's the experience like for you?
Well, I was very concerned several weeks ago, and would it be enough? Would I enjoy it? Would we be good as a team? And we worked very hard on this. This was the NFL group of Terry Bradshaw, Jimmy Johnson, Howie Long. They're kind of the ones that set the standard, and they've been number one on television for 25 years. And I didn't really
on Fox Sports.
On Fox, yeah. And so they've been kind of our group that we watch, and it's all about chemistry. It's all about respecting one another, but inviting the viewer into somewhere they've never been. And that's something every one of our people on that set are very recent relevance in the sport of college football, and we can take people. And I'm like you. I'm hearing incredible reviews of it. I enjoy it, and most importantly, I enjoy our team.
I was going to say, just as I've watched it, you're having fun. You're good at it. You're clear, but you're having fun, and that comes across, and that's awesome. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think I'm having fun. I'm still figuring it out.
There you go. We're going to talk today about win the moment. That's our big topic for today, is win the moment. Life is a series of moments, and if we're going to be successful in life, you got to win those moments. Athletics is a series of moments. Business is a series of marriage, family life, physical fitness. Everything in life is a series of moments. But to win the moment, you have to be in the moment, and that's what we're going to talk about. Let's get to work. Urban, years ago, we started this conversation about win the moment. You and I sat down in your office and had a long, deep conversation about this very idea, this principle, this truth, that life happens moment by moment. And that if you're going to be successful in the sport of college football, or if you're going to be successful, like I said a moment ago, in business or any place in life, you have to recognize and respond to the moments. And it's challenging because, like as I said as well, to win it, you have to be in it. If you want to win the moments, you have to be in the moment. And a lot of times, we're not in the moment. We get pulled out of it. And what I've acknowledged, what I've seen, I can speak for myself, and I observe it in others. Want your opinion? I get pulled out of the moment if I'm anxious about the future, fear, or if I'm resentful or frustrated about the past. Because those two emotions, worrying about the future or some kind of negative emotion about the past, pulls me out of now and then pulls me into something I don't have access to, which is what happened in the past or what might happen in the future. Your thoughts?
That's exactly true. And what brought on this conversation this morning was that this incredible situation that occurred early in the season here when Army went to Ann Arbor and brought them to the brink of catastrophic loss for the Wolverines if that would have happened, and it didn't. But I went to visit West Point. I brought my son, and I got to spend time with the superintendent.
This is earlier this summer?
Yeah, this couple weeks ago. And the coach is a very good friend of mine. He asked me to come speak to the staff, the team, and of course, any opportunity. My second trip there, and I just love, I love the men and women who serve our country. I love the service academies. It's, in this world that's so bizarre right now, you leave West Point, you think, we're okay. If these men and women are going to be the leaders of our country, we're better than okay. We're better than every other country in the world. So first of all, I felt very good about that. Second of all, I'm out there watching them practice, and they have no business to even go compete with the highly talented, top 10 program. But And I started reflecting about when I first went to Bowling Green about, how are we going to go beat Missouri? We don't have players on our team that were recruited by Missouri. And it becomes overwhelming if I stood in front of the team and said, you can beat Missouri, because we can't. That's not going to happen. If Jeff Monken, the coach at Army, would stood in front of his team and said, we're going to go beat them, which he didn't do, the players would look at an overwhelming task, a daunting task that deep in their heart, they know they can't do that. However, when you give infallible, that's the term Lou Holtz used to use all the time. It's something I used all the time, because that's zero chance of error when you say infallible. It's not a maybe, hey, let's try hard and go. These principles I'm going to give you are absolutely infallible. If it would have been infallible for me to say, if we will beat Missouri, that's not infallible, because you're probably not. We don't have to beat Missouri. But however, beating Missouri is a result of sustained energy, sustained focus on things that are accomplishable. For example, Army.
Let me interrupt just for a second. I want to see if I'm hearing what you're saying, and I want to interpret, if you will, or represent the listener. I just heard you say, I don't know if you can win the game, but you can win the moments in the game.
That's right.
Is that what you said?
That's absolutely correct. And they need to know that the moments are very winnable. A matter of fact, it's infallible. And that's where the term comes up, where think of the human spirit of a old person, young person, whatever. If I tell you, and the person telling you has experience, that this is absolutely infallible, we can do this. Imagine the confidence shooting through the veins and the heart and the mind of that young athlete. For example, Army, they don't have to go beat the team up north, because they can't. They can't.
If you look at it from the big macro,
it's overwhelming, and your mind starts to shut down and think, first of all, this guy telling me we can do this. We can't do this. We can't do this. However, when you brainwash, or you said some other word.
Discipline the mind, focus
Discipline the mind. Here's what we need to do. Every snap, if we can get 3.5 yards, and I can show you 3.5 yards is not that tall of a task in the game of football, and I'm going to give you this scheme. And all 11 of us have to do our job. But if we get 3.5 yards every snap, we can beat anybody. Forget about
over and over and
just
over
repeated,
and over
repeated. And the way the mind works, I know it. I saw these players, and I've done it myself with Bowling Green. We don't have to go beat Missouri in front of 80,000 people. Last year you guys were 1-10. It's not going to happen. However, here's what's going to happen. You need to take care of the football on offense. You got to tackle on defense. We need to have sustained drives at just 3.5-yard shots. And then you know what's going to happen, guys? We're going to look up in the middle of the fourth quarter, and that score is going to be close. And all we need is one drive. We get one drive, you'll win that game. That's very sustainable. As a matter of fact, that's infallible. If you take care of the ball, you tackle, and you have sustained drives and 3-yard bursts, you're going to be fine. So here's Army, travels to Ann Arbor. The way that game, they ran the ball 61 times. They had a lot of possession time. The team up north helped them. They turned the ball over 3 times, and so they kept it, which happens in those games. That's a game of football. However, the mental discipline and the way they were trained, it was a very realistic goal for those players to understand, if I get 3.5 yards every snap, we can do this.
A term that comes to mind is, and I've heard this before in other domains, is called microfocus. Microfocus. And it's exactly what you're describing, which is don't focus on the game, don't focus on the whole quarter, focus one play at a time. Win the moment that you're in. Really interesting about how life works. You don't have access to future moments. You don't have access to past moments. Think about this. The only moment that you and I have access to is right now. That's the only moment where we can work to accomplish something. We can't win in the future. It hasn't arrived yet. We can't win in the past. It's over.
Let's hold that thought. And that's why I was never a big believer in a big board with goals. I know a lot of people do that. But to me, win the national championship, why would you ever put that up there? That's too abstract. There's injuries, there's issues, there's things that happen. How about, did you remember our goal was 9 strong, maximize every unit. Are you maximized? Are you giving us everything as your mind and your body at maximum capacity? That's all we ever talked about. You can't talk about winning a national championship. That's overwhelming.
And it can be distracting.
Yeah, because what if you lose a game? Then quit playing. And it was well known. We lost a couple games throughout, but we got stronger after a loss. Last year was a perfect example. We lose a terrible loss, but we went on and played our best game and, just put a beating on the rivals and win the Big Ten and win the Rose Bowl. Why? Because our goal was never to maximize who we are. And going back to that Army, and I just think the mindset, there's one other story I want to share with you. So we're playing Oklahoma, and the best offense in the history at the time in college football.
And you were the coach at Florida at the time.
And it was Sam Bradford. Bob Stoops was the coach at Oklahoma. And Sam Bradford, a great player, won the Heisman Trophy that year. You had Gresham, a tight end. You had all these incredible players. We had incredible players. And I just remember that we stayed away from saying the national championship. We stayed away from it. It was all about moments. To say we're going to go shut down Oklahoma, first of all, you're not going to do that. The probability is, why would you say that? The player inside, they might not say it to the coach because they're thinking there's no way we're going to shut them down. However, it's going to be a series of moments throughout that course of the game. And I'll never forget in the fourth quarter, we're up by 3 and Sam Bradford's got the game. He's got the ball. There's 7 minutes left in the game, and the script's going to be written. He's going to take him down, score. We lose the national championship. A guy named Ahmad Black, our safety, incredible interception, takes it right away from the receiver. We're on the 30-yard line. We got 70 yards to go. And I just remember calling. It was really loud, obviously, environment down in Miami. And I have all 11 players on offense, Tim Tebow, Percy Harvin, the Pounceys, and obviously incredible players. And I get in real close, and I make them all look at the scoreboard. And I said, guys, listen to me. We have 4 first downs. If we can eat the clock up for 7 minutes, everything we've ever dreamed of will come true. Focus on the moment, and the moment is right now. 4 first downs. If we get 4 first downs, this is over. Take care of the ball. You block people, but love each other. You stick together. Everybody do their job. 4 first downs. That's a very tangible. That's a goal you can touch, you can feel, and it was absolutely infallible at that time. If we do this, and I have chills right now thinking about everything you've ever wanted in your athletic career will happen. 4 drives. That's it. 4 drives, and obviously they did it. But it would have been overwhelming if I said, "Okay, let's win the national championship," or the pregame speech, "Let's win the national championship." It wasn't that at all. It's about what you just said. The way I'm convinced now after witnessing and really understanding the Army situation, because I've been there, a little bit like when we were Bowling Green and played Missouri, or that moment I just shared with you, that it's amazing how if a person that you're leading, if you can look you in the eyes and trust that what you're saying is absolutely infallible, we can do this, they're going to do it. If they look at you and say this is overwhelming, insurmountable, and this guy's not telling me the truth, you're going to have a hard time walking out the door.
Mm-hmm. I'm listening, and my heart is racing with this because as we go around the country teaching R-Factor workshops, and this principle of win the moment comes up, and you're describing it through the lens of Army football or Florida football, and I'm listening to that, and I'm also thinking about the people who are listening to our podcast who work in a business someplace, or they're a teacher in a classroom or a student in a classroom. And I want to make sure I fully understand what you're saying, because I think I do, is that there are 2 things that have to happen in order to win the moment. Number 1 is mental discipline, to be fully in the moment and not let your mind drift to the future or the past. Have I got
Absolutely.
number 1?
You're engaged in the moment.
Yeah, fully. Not 50% or fully, micro focus, full mental focus and engagement in the moment. The second thing that I heard you say, and plus you and I talked about this before we launched this conversation, was you need to be trained in the skills required to execute your job. There's a responsibility that you have. There's tactics you need to engage in. There's fundamental things you need to do in order to win that moment. The mindset without the skill set won't cut it. Is that true?
That's absolutely true.
And the skill set without the mindset won't cut it.
Well, let's hold that thought for a second and come back to the rest. But that all goes back to the mindset, and this comes from personal experience in huddles and being around players, that you can tell when you say to the offensive lineman and the quarterback and the running backs at Army. I could tell when watching them practice. I would just know what kind of people they are. Arguably the most disciplined people to get to that kind of situation, to be on scholarship at the West Point. The discipline they must have in their life to even get to that moment. The way the coach organizes things, the discipline, the way they're trained. I would say that those players would believe that they are the best trained humans that walk the planet in what their skill they're asked to do, and that's run the veer offense, wishbone offense. And that's when you say this is a goal, this is a tangible piece that everybody nowadays, and you say nowadays, I think everybody wants something to grab and feel and touch. They want to say this is real. It's not some abstract goal. I've heard leaders say, I said, don't say that. I've had assistant coaches, I've done it, and I'd leave a meeting and go, why did I do that? That's not something you can grab. And I'm an 18-year-old going, why did that coach tell me to do that? I'm not skilled to do that. You don't have to go beat the team up north. You don't have to do that, because you know what? You can't. You're not good enough. God bless them with 6'7", 320 pounds. You're 6'1", 250. You don't have to beat them. What you have to do is, I'm going to train you to do it, is be the best in the world at what you do. We all do what we're supposed to do, and here's the tangible goal, 3.5 yards. That's it. And that's when you get I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I've seen it, I've witnessed it. We don't have to go beat Missouri.
And then on a team, not only do you do it, the guy next to you on your right, the guy next to you on your left,
they feel accountable to each other.
They're accountable to each other, and they're doing it together, what you would call 9 units strong.
That's it.
Yeah.
A skill that, first of all, like you said, and we can't, I just wrote that down, is you have to be fully engaged in the moment. That's great. But if you don't have the skill to execute your assignment, then that goes to, this is big picture stuff. You're trained, and once I'm going to say it, you're trained better than anybody, and I convinced teams in the past of this. There's no one, you can't say that Texas or Alabama or the New York Jets teach it better than and you better be right about it. You can't be full of what. I mean, you better be really good at the training. So you as an athlete, Tim, I'm telling you, there's no other person that walks the planet better trained to do the skill I'm asking you to do. Now you have to do it. And focus on that skill. Focus on a tangible, achievable goal that we give you with great clarity. And you in your mind say, this is infallible. If I achieve this,
in the moment,
we win.
Yeah. I know that a lot of people who listen to this podcast take notes. I've had many people tell me they actually are driving, they pull off to the side of the road to take notes. Or they're working out and they'll stop a workout and take out their phone and take notes. For those of you that do that, I want you to write down the 2 words that Urban and I just used: mindset and skill set. And the big message that we're communicating here is, if you want to win at anything in your life, you want to win at anything in business, you want to achieve success at any area of your life, you have to have the right mindset and you have to have the right skill set. There's a mental discipline and then a tactical discipline that you need to be successful. And winning the moment is a result of both of those things. The sales process. A lot of salespeople listen to this podcast. You have to have the right mindset and the right skill set to execute the moment-by-moment activity of selling your product or service. People listen to us who are in customer service. You have to have the right mindset and the right skill set if you want to deliver a great experience to your customers moment by moment. Again, anything, whether it's an athletic endeavor, a business endeavor, an educational endeavor. Folks, we talked about it earlier, marriage is moment by moment. There's a mindset and a skill set required if you want to be great in a personal relationship. And it's so easy. And I'm listening to Urban, and I'm also thinking through my own lens, and I think I've trained myself pretty well in this, but I fall out of the moment. How about you? You ever find yourself?
I think I'm the poster child for falling out of the moment. That's the mental discipline and training, because it's overwhelming when you think about big picture. And I hear people say that all the time, think big picture. And I think that's at the appropriate times it's good to do that. But it's also overwhelming, and it takes you out of the moment because you're worried about what's next and what happened before. And like you said, the discipline involved with staying in the moment, but that's the job of a leader.
Here's a great tactical skill that I have implemented into my life, and I think I'm pretty good at this, and we teach this in the R Factor workshop, is you're not going to win all the moments. And I think I know it's unrealistic to expect to win all of them. You're not going to win all the moments in your day. You're not going to win all the moments in the sales process. You're not going to win all the moments in a project that you're managing. You're not going to win all the moments in a football game. You're just not. However, here's the key. Don't lose 2 in a row. And use the moment that you lose. If you drift out of the moment because of worry about the future or frustration about the past, if you drift out of the moment for any reason, recognize that you drifted out of the moment, press pause, regain clarity, step up and win the next one. Don't lose 2 in a row. Yeah. And that is what I've found to be one of the most important disciplines to have, is be realistic in your expectation. And I think in this instance, mistakes are good feedback, and it's frustrating and I think fear-inducing, anxiety-inducing to believe that you can win all of them. You're not going to. There's never been a perfect football game.
And I not the audience, but I don't want to just keep giving examples, but another one just came to my mind, and obviously, for like you just said, I can give you plenty of examples where we weren't able to keep them focused in the moment, and you fail. And for whatever reason, because we're all humans, and you start losing the moment, you start worrying about the future, or worried about what happened in the past. But we're down by 3 scores against Penn State a couple years ago in Ohio Stadium. And if I said, let's go beat Penn State, or we can do this.
Let's score this number of points in this amount of time.
It's overwhelming, and they look at me like that's probably not going to happen. However, it's a method, and I'll never forget calling the punt block team up and calling them up and saying, everybody, and just my focus with them is not, hey, we can win this game, because who knows? It was not about, hey, if we win this game, we can go to the Big Ten championship game down the road and all that. That's not in the moment. The moment, and I just kept screaming at him at that point, was, because it was real loud in that stadium, obviously, everybody do their job. We can do this. Do the job. Get in the moment right now. Someone has to skinny the C gap. Someone has to skinny the B gap. Denzel Ward, you got to take it right off his foot. You got to, when that ball moves, you got to get it, and everybody and I saw their focus was not on the score, was not on the 50 million people watching the game or whatever it was not on the fact that if we win this game, we have a chance to go to the college football playoff. That's all overwhelming. Why would you even talk about that? And I'm guilty of it, as I'm sure many leaders have in the past. If you start talking about 20,000 foot level stuff or big picture stuff, that just takes you out of the moment. We have 11 guys on that field. Everybody has to do their job to execute this one play. That's where our focus is right now. And obviously, we blocked the punt. The whole game changed that day. I can give you examples where it hasn't, and it wasn't because of poor coaching, poor players, bad players, whatever. It was the leader, which my fault, and the leaders on the players and the team and our coaches, et cetera, that they stepped out of the moment. I really believe well-trained people, that's the 2 things we just said. One's a mental, one's
mindset, skill set.
Mindset, skill set. You can say the mindset all you want. Without the skill set, you're not going to get it done.
Yep.
And same thing with a great skill set. If you're not in the moment, you're not going to get it done. I really believe, after 3 decades of being on football teams, regardless of the opponent, if you give a tangible opportunity for them that they can touch, feel, they know it, they know they can do it. I've been training you to do this. Now you embed in their brain, if we do this, it's infallible, we're going to be successful. It's absolutely infallible. I mean, it will work. That's when mountains move. That's when third-string quarterbacks win national titles. That's when Michael Thomases of the world that was just okay become great players, because they're able to train their mind to just focus on the moment and go get it done. And there's been, this conversation's been, refreshing to me to go back in time a little bit.
This is a mesmerizing notion. This is a transformational truth, because so many people are not in the moment. And I'm aware of this because we're constantly doing this kind of work.
Well, let me interrupt you. It would be a mistake to think how easy, because I'm telling you, I'm more out of the moment than in the moment. And I think you'd say the same. Because we're humans. We're below the line beings. It's got to be intentional with purpose. You got to be trained to get yourself in the moment and how to do that. And the discipline involved to do that.
Yeah. And okay, so let's take those words. Glad you went there, because that's where I wanted to go. Remind everybody, the word discipline does not mean punishment. It means learning. The word discipline comes from a Latin word that means to learn. This notion of win the moment isn't natural. It's a learned skill. It's a disciplined, learned skill. Discipline is you making the decision to live your life by a set of standards and doing the work to live your life by a set of standards, learning how to do that. That's what the word discipline means. Again, it does not mean punishment. The punishment people hijacked this word years ago. At Focus 3, we are reclaiming the word for its original meaning. I'm going to repeat. The word discipline means, and here's how I translate it: be better today than you were yesterday, be better tomorrow than you were today. That's that process. It's the process of implementing into your life a set of timeless principles that make you better every day. That's what the word discipline means. Winning the moment is a discipline-driven skill. It's, like we said, it's a mindset, it's mental, and it's behavioral, it's a skill set. And if I'm going to win the moments of my life, if I'm going to win the moments of my job, if I'm going to win the moments of my role, then I have to build into my life a way of thinking. And let's talk a bit more about the mindset. And I actually tweeted this out a couple days ago, and a tremendous response on Twitter to this message. Successful people are not necessarily more talented or intelligent than other people, but they are more focused. They have developed and built the discipline to find and focus on what matters and filter out the noise and distractions. They've built the discipline to find and focus on what matters and filter out the noise and distractions. And there's a lot of noise today. There's a lot of distractions today. And this whole notion of win the moment is you cannot let the noise and distractions get in the way of what you need to do in the moment. And it's hard to do. It's hard to get rid of those distractions. And this mental approach that people bring to life, here's a tactical thing, folks, that you can do. And in the workshops, we call it the 5-minute focus. And that is, you can be totally focused and 5 minutes, by the way, is an arbitrary period of time. It can be 60 seconds, it can be 90 seconds, it can be literally 5 minutes, it can be 30 minutes. But whatever your domain, whatever it is you're doing in life, I think what Coach Meyer is sharing is be fully in the moment and fully focused for whatever period of time. We had Nick Foligno on the last podcast. And obviously Nick plays in the National Hockey League, and the average shift time, you're on the ice at each shift in the NHL, is roughly 30 seconds, 30 to 40 seconds. Full focus for 30 seconds. Be in the moment for 30 seconds. Then the new guys come on the ice, and then you go to the bench, and you get yourself ready to go. And how long's a football play, Urban? What's the length of time? 4 to 6 seconds. And what you ask players to do is be fully in the moment, 4 to 6 seconds at a time. So, folks, those of you listening to this, there are things that you do in your life. Understand the period of time for whatever is appropriate for you, and be micro-focused for whatever period of time that you need to, and give all of your mind to what it is you need to do in those 30 seconds, those 5 minutes, that half an hour. And as you discover the skill set required, the tactical discipline activity you need to engage in to win those moments, when you find you're not skillful enough, when you find you don't have the competency, go back and practice. Is that the message, Urban?
I think that's great. I would like to add one thing, and that is that I'm just writing down these notes, is that as a leader, which we all are, whether it be unit leader, whether in a corporate environment, or a unit leader within an athletic team, or in a military organization, is that it's your responsibility to understand the big picture. It's not the people below you. It's not the people you're trying to lead. And I think that's where grave errors have been made. I've made those errors. And it's your obligation to understand big pictures. That's what they pay you to do. Because your decision-making impacts so many different people. However, the people you lead, it's your responsibility. And when I was my very best, and our coaches were our very best, it was so clear and succinct. What we were asking our people in our world, our athletes, to do was so clear, was so achievable, and they believed they could do this. It was not unsurmountable. It was not some abstract, like I tell you, for what an error would be to say, hey, we're going to go win the national championship. That's wrong. Here's what we need to do. and I'm going to train you to do it better than anybody else that walks on the planet. That's when mountains are moved and rings are made and championships are won, is because the leader has the big picture. However, is be careful what you say to the people that you have to execute the assignments to get it done. And I think about the great teams, the in the moment, the focus, and the training that went into that they knew they could achieve it. And you could see the confidence. There's nothing quite like that. When you look in an athlete's eyes, and Joe Burrow right now is playing as Joe Burrow, the quarterback at LSU, and I talk to him about once a week now. I love the guy. And to have an athlete to be confident in what he's getting ready to go do, not worried about big picture stuff, that's one of the greatest feelings. You know that something great's about to happen.
Mm-hmm. I think about the leadership aspect of this, which you've brought up several times. And one of the greatest contributions that a leader can make to a team, to an organization, to a business unit is focus. And that's job one for a leader, is to make sure everyone on the team understands what they're responsible for in the moment and that they execute. Number two, and this is important, is refocus. I've said this in the past, interested in your opinion, Urban, about this. I think it's a mistake for leaders to say too often, stay focused, stay focused, stay focused, because no one can stay focused all the time. I think the great skill is help people learn how to refocus when they've lost it. And I would like to hear more leaders say, let's learn how to refocus. And like I said a moment ago, you're not going to win all the moments in the day. You're not going to win all the moments in a conversation. You're not going to win all the moments in a project. You're not going to win all the moments in a marriage. You're not going to win all the moments when you're driving your car on the highway. But when you lose a moment, recognize when you have, refocus, and step up and win the next one. I therefore am a little concerned when we put pressure on people to always stay focused. It's really hard, if impossible, to do that.
Well,
am I onto something there?
Yeah, if you remember, we train our team to do that, and then that's best Fridays in football. It's impossible to stay focused for 4 hours. It's not going to happen. So we teach them that there's a time to, go between plays, the ability to lock in. And that's where I'd clap my hands, and someone says, why do you do that? I want them to ability to, they're all over the place, and all of a sudden I want them to clap exactly with my rhythm. And the older guys get it. The young players are, why are we doing this? It's the ability to say, okay, you're going to go have time to take a breath, go grab something to eat, relax a little bit, then refocus, because your body's not made to say sustained focus. You can't do that. I want to add something too, Tim, is that this is the job of a leader in this conversation, is that, number one, it goes back to, I love how we're doing this, and I want to make sure we write this up, the mindset and skill set. And that is, number one, are your players well-trained, or people well-trained? If not, then forget them. Our conversation needs to end there.
Hugely important. I hope everybody hears this.
Because sometimes I think, and I see coaching make errors, I see people in corporate America now, are you guys well-trained, the best trained, in our world, the best trained on the planet to do what they're asked to do? If not, then our conversation stops here, because you will not have success. Number one is trained.
Would you agree with this? How about this? The moment will reveal what kind of training you've done.
Oh, absolutely. And you got to ask yourself, who is doing the training? And I mean, that's a very hard process. In football, it's a strength coach, it's a position coach, it's a nutritionist. It's all the above have to be the best of the best to train them for that moment. And the second thing is there a tangible, achievable, believable objective that they can grab a hold of? Can they really do this? I'm an Army football player. I'm going in front of 110,000 people on national television. I can't beat this guy in a fight one-on-one. It's not going to happen. I don't have to. So that's not even part of his mindset. Is it a tangible, can I touch this? Can I get 3.5 yards? I'm visually looking at that. I can do that. All of us together, I know we can do that. It's infallible. Is it achievable? Absolutely. We all know that we can do it. We do it over, and we've done it 1,000 times. Is it believable? Do I believe in this coach? Absolutely. We won 11 games last year. And then, is it an objective that we can all have the above? Tangible, can I touch it? Is it achievable? Absolutely. And do I believe that we can get this done? You do that now. You tell me what you can't do. And I'll fight you and say you can do that.
Clarity, confidence, competence. It's clear. I'm trained. I'm competent to do it. And I've got confidence in myself, the guys around me, and my coach. And I don't have to win the game. I just have to win the moment I'm in. And then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And if I do that better than the other guy across from me, if our team does that better than the other team, we will win the game.
Regardless of who we're playing.
Irrespective of who we're playing. I'm going to wrap this up. They're unbelievable stuff. I took a ton of notes myself. The big message here, folks, is that life happens moment by moment. Life is a series of moments. Sales, customer service, marriage, driving your car, traveling, playing a sport, leading people, leading the team happens moment by moment. You don't have access to future moments. You don't have access to past moments. You only have access to the moment you're in right now. The key to success is win the moment. You're going to lose some, so just don't lose 2 in a row. And the fundamental message today is this. If you want to win the moment, it takes mindset and it takes skill set. It requires mental discipline and behavioral discipline for the skills required to win the moment. Go do the work.